Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to address this conference again. Let me start by congratulating you on your successful first event last year. We need more events like this to raise the profile of women in the maritime sector. It is a fact that a diverse workforce benefits both individual employers and the sector as a whole. This is why IMO has been working hard to make maritime more inclusive. One of the biggest benefits to a diverse workforce is innovative ways of thinking. People from different backgrounds will assess problems in unique ways and can come up with inventive solutions. This is very valuable to our industry, which operates in complex conditions. We are nearing the end of the second year of the COVID-19 pandemic, which continues to put massive strain on supply chain and, most importantly, on our seafarers. The pandemic has also accelerated the need to facilitate automation and digitalization of the maritime sector. Simultaneously, we have taken up the challenges combating climate change and reducing our impact on the environment by decarbonizing shipping, using alternative fuels and new technologies. We can only achieve these goals by working together on a global scale and by welcoming diversity in our approaches and our work. Building back better and greener relies on having engaged workers. The inclusion of women in the workforce and in leadership roles is fundamental to our global economic resilience. I believe that there is room for improvement in the maritime sector on this front. I also know that there is a desire to do better from various maritime stakeholders. To this end, I'm very happy to inform you of a historic decision by IMO to include a reference to gender equality in the new strategic direction on the human element in the organization strategic plan, which is an important signal in the strategic approach of the organization. In support of the efforts to enhance the participation of women in maritime, IMO has partnered with Vista International for the Inaugural Women in Maritime survey, which looks at the proportion and distribution of women working in the maritime sector. The results, which are currently being analyzed and will be published next year, use information gathered separately from IMO member states and the maritime industry to paint a picture of the current state of our sector and the work as a benchmark for us to mark our progress. I'm very proud of the work done across our network of IMO-supported regional associations for women in the maritime sector, WIMAs. We currently have 8 WIMAs established across Africa, Arab states, Asia, the Caribbean, Latin America, and the Pacific. I also welcome the development following the adoption of IMO Assembly Resolution in 2019 to preserve the legacy of IMO's World Maritime Theme for 2019. The empowerment of women in the maritime community, including IMO Gen, a network for IMO delegates seeking to achieve gender equality within the sector. The most recent success in our efforts to promote women in maritime is the decision of IMO to establish an International Day for Women in Maritime, which will be celebrated on 18th May every year. This day will give us the opportunity to encourage the recruitment, retention, and the sustained employment of women in the maritime sector and raise the profile of women in maritime. Also works to strengthen IMO's commitment to Sustainable Development Goal 5 on gender equality and supports work to address the current gender imbalance in maritime. Ladies and gentlemen, today you will hear from many speakers who will share their journeys of maritime leadership with you. I hope that these stories inspire you and the incoming generations of leaders to celebrate diversity, change makers, and the sustainable solutions. I look forward to working with you to make the maritime sector truly inclusive. I wish you all a fruitful conference. Thank you.
Ministers, distinguished guests, dear maritime friends, it's a pleasure for me to address you at this event. I want to offer my gratitude to Ms. Sanjam Gupta and Maritime SheEO for inviting me and for organizing this conference. It represents a great opportunity to address how we can work together to reach a better gender balance in the maritime industry. This conference brings together leading maritime nations and industry players. Together, we can accelerate change in the maritime industry. The ocean connects the world. It provides food, jobs, and activity, and creates economic growth. To ensure that the maritime industry can develop further and be part of the solution to end the climate crisis, we have to be able to recruit the best talents, the best hands and brightest minds, and take advantage of the entire workforce, men and women. Increased equality leads to more productive and profitable businesses, better innovation, and a more attractive labor market. In this respect, the maritime industry is lagging behind. The proportion of women in the Norwegian shipping industry is about 16%, and it is as low as 7% if you only include employees at sea. The situation is the same globally. Women are underrepresented in the maritime industry. To make progress towards a better gender balance, the Norwegian government is preparing an equality strategy for the Norwegian maritime industry. The aim is that the strategy will cover equality and inclusiveness broadly, with a particular focus on gender equality in the maritime sector. This strategy will be the first equality strategy prepared for our maritime industry. Our aim is that it will cover the industry as a whole, from shipyards and shipping companies to the service providing parts of the industry. We need knowledge to make changes. Therefore, we have started working on the equality strategy in close cooperation with the industry itself. And we have launched a fact-finding study. The aim is to provide a better view of the situation across the industry and to identify barriers and attaining and retaining talent. The fact-finding study will be an important basis for the equality strategy. The task of improving gender balance in the maritime sector has broad support across the political spectrum in Norway, and we look forward to see it through. I note with appreciation the active approach taken by the IMO towards strengthening the impact of women in the maritime sector. I want to commend the organization for its extensive work in promoting gender equality in the maritime sector. We must continue our efforts to stop discrimination and ensure that equality is upheld. We have to work together on several levels. We have to be even better at communicating that women are strongly wanted in the maritime industry. We have to identify and eliminate structural, practical and cultural boundaries to women entering the maritime and ocean industries. And we need more female role models to show that the maritime industry is full of exciting possibilities for all. Joint commitment, both across the private and the public sector and across national borders, like the conference you are facilitating today, is the key to achieve progress and making shipping a more fair and equal industry for all. I wish you the best of luck on your event today. Thank you so much.
Hello. I would like to begin my address by thanking everyone at Maritime SheEO, and especially its founder, Ms. Sanjam Gupta, for the invitation to take part in the organization's second conference, and of course this unique opportunity to present to a global audience Cyprus's strategy towards a green and sustainable future. The work that you do at Maritime SheEO in facilitating a level playing field for women in the maritime and logistics industries truly is inspiring. To achieve fundamental change, the shift to sustainability and a cleaner and fairer world, there can be no gender gap, or any other social gap for that matter. And your initiatives and efforts certainly go a long way in creating much needed awareness and empowering women. Traditionally, businesses were geared towards maximizing profitability. It is imperative that top management comes to realize that diversity and inclusion are not only morally right, but can also be leveraged to advance organizational goals, retain talent, and create better products and services, thus also positively impacting the bottom line. Sustainability, of course, should top the agenda of these organizational goals. The government of the Republic of Cyprus is implementing a comprehensive strategy to support businesses in resolving the challenges of the post-pandemic era, as well as facilitating the country's transition to a circular and carbon-neutral economic model. In the battle against climate change, it is crucial that we stand united to ensure that no one is left behind, promoting joint projects, taking advantage of synergies and exchanging know-how and best practices. It is within this framework that the Republic of Cyprus has proposed and has been working hard to make a reality the Cyprus Climate Change Initiative for the Eastern Mediterranean and the Middle East. Our region has been classified in recent studies as a global climate hotspot, exhibiting high vulnerability to climate change. As such, we aim to forge a true partnership with neighbouring countries in order to develop a comprehensive action plan addressing and mitigating the impact of climate change in the region in accordance with the Paris Agreement. Cyprus is fully committed to realising our Paris Agreement and EU Green Deal goals. To this end, we are working on revamping our strategy and energy and business sectors to facilitate transition to a greener circular economy and resource-efficient growth. Emissions and prices will be reduced as we implement our plans to fully open the electricity market, which is now in a transitional phase, to connect it to mainland Europe with an electricity cable, to introduce large energy storage systems and increase renewables in our energy mix. Coupled with incentives to renovate our building stock, save energy and adopt a circular model, we can increase Cypriot businesses' competitiveness and export capacity whilst also helping the environment. Shipping is an important part of this equation, with Cyprus currently ranking amongst the top international fleets, with more than 1,000 ocean-going vessels carrying the Cypriot flag and a total gross tonnage of around 25 million. To reward and accelerate the sustainability efforts of ship owners who demonstrate effective emission reduction, Cyprus's Shipping Deputy Ministry has introduced a range of green incentives which involve tonnage tax reductions of up to 30%. It is our firm belief that the shipping sector must have a meaningful contribution to climate change, whilst maintaining its strategic importance and its competitiveness. The Shipping Deputy Ministry has recently presented a long-term strategic vision for Cyprus shipping, Sea Change 2030, which stands for Sustainable, Extrovert and Adaptable. The new strategy includes 35 sustainable actions aimed at promoting the sector's environmental sustainability and digital transformation and creating conditions for a more resilient and competitive Cyprus shipping sector, whilst contributing to a positive change in global shipping. Dear participants of the second Maritime SheEO Conference, it is increasingly clear that a lot needs to be done, and urgently, if we are to achieve our 2030 agenda for sustainable development and the net zero emission target for 2050. Procrastination is definitely no longer a viable option. In order to be agents of positive change, we need to work together in a genuinely diverse and inclusive society, greening and brightening the future for ourselves and our children. Thank you.